Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with a Journalist. I'm Beck Bamberger, and we do a lot of things on this show, but mainly to talk with reporters, editors, journalists, the people that make the media world go round, and how we as publicists can better work with people so we make our lives more enjoyable together. Hopefully, Connie. Hopefully. That's the goal. That's the goal. I'm very excited for today because we have newly promoted editor at large of CNET, Connie Guglielmo, and so excited to have you, Connie. And it's the end of January. How are we doing so far?
I think we can all agree that this has been a whirlwind of a month. And for those of us here in California, like I am,
Yes,
with
same.
relatives in Los Angeles,
Yeah,
it's been a very busy and crazy
it has been.
time.
What a
Yeah.
time. What a time. Well, welcome. And thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Connie, for those who maybe are not as familiar, I do like to start out with saying, like, hey, how would you describe the editorial content of CNET in your own words?
Sure. CNET is a tech site that is focused on consumers. And that's an important distinction because a lot of media writes for businesses,
Yep.
B2B, or they write for investors, or they
Yes.
write for specific audiences that are, niche. But because CNET is for a consumer audience, that's you, me, your parents, your friends, your partners, your colleagues, we need to have pitches that
Mm-hmm.
are for the average person who is trying to make sense of the world through that lens of
Mm-hmm.
primarily technology.
Mm-hmm. I assume then you get a lot of more enterprisey pitches.
I get enterprise pitches all the time. I get pitches about people raising venture rounds.
Yeah.
Great for them.
Good for
Happy
them. No
that
one
they're doing
cares.
it.
Free. I've seen it. Yeah.
That's not our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
No.
Got it. So your inbox then, Connie, let's go into that. What's in there? What's in there? Because also editor at large, maybe it's a little different than a reporter, but maybe not.
Sure. So for the entire time, I was the editor-in-chief of CNET for 10 years
Yeah.
before switching 2 years ago and doing our AI stuff. I did an investigation into AI for editorial reasons, and now I write a column about AI and stories about AI. So I've seen the pitches across the gamut of my career, as you could expect. And as usual, I get a lot of pitches that are not relevant because they're not relevant to what we
Yeah.
write about. I get a lot of pitches that are, I would say, several hundred words long, which are no one's going to read more than 2 paragraphs in a pitch. I get those all the time. And then sometimes I get pitches addressed to dear insert name, which
Oh,
I always
no.
find very entertaining. So those are the not great pitches.
Those are the pass. Yep.
Yeah. So the good pitches are ones that know that I write about AI. Of course, I know everyone at CNET, and if I read a pitch and I think it's interesting, I'll forward it on to the person on the team who I think would be the right person to get that pitch. And if I'm feeling charitable, I'll respond and say, "Hi, thank you for your pitch, but actually, you want to talk to so and so. I've CC'd them here, but that's a step that I don't necessarily should be taking, but I do it to be nice sometimes if I have the time. So you want to know who you're writing to and what they write about.
Yes.
Obviously, 101, Publicist 101, but it's very funny how often that is not the case. So good pitches are pitches that in the subject line tell you they're exclusive, they have a time element, like they're reacting to something in the news, or they're offering you something that is going to have a fast turnaround. And so I look for those kind of pitches.
And how often are you looking through your pitches in your email? Like, is it constant for you?
Okay, I'm one of those people who can't sign off until my inbox is at 0.
Oh, yes.
And the way that I do that, because when I
how do we do it? How do we do it? Yes.
Yeah. When I worked at Bloomberg, I was getting 1,200 or so pitches a day. And my career, we didn't talk about that. I worked at Bloomberg. I've worked at Forbes for the past decade. It's been CNET. When you get that many pitches, there's the only one way to clean out your inbox is you respond, you delete, or you forward it on to someone else. I very rarely save something for later because if you save something for later, now you're adding to the next day's load.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't use my inbox as a way to save pitches. I either say I'm interested or I'm not interested. I delete it if it's just totally irrelevant, or if I
Mhm.
think it's worthwhile for someone else to look at, I forward it on. And by doing that, I go through my pitches, my inbox, throughout the
Yeah.
day to get it down to 0.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I haven't heard of like kind of the 3-rung approach here. You're
I
going to
mean,
delete it. You're going to forward it. You're going to respond. Boom. That's it. Yeah.
and the response could be, I need more information, which sets you up
Yes.
for another
Which then,
email.
yes, but
Fair.
then the ball is back in their court. So that's good.
I
Okay.
guess it's you're choosing to engage. Everyone has their own methodology when it comes to their inbox. I'm just telling you that's the way that mine works. Yeah. And no
Oh.
judgment however you do your, but when I see somebody who has like 10,000 unread
Oh.
emails, I have a heart attack. So
Try 60,000. I mean, I think the record on here is like close to 100,000. Yeah.
yeah, I look,
For me, no, I'm
yeah.
a 0. I
Yeah.
got to be on the 0. It's so satisfying to be on the 0 too. When you get and you know what? Google gives you a little Gmail gives you a little dopamine hit because it goes hooray, or it says wahoo, you have 0 emails. Do you get that too? I'm like,
I just know it's 0, so it makes me
then
feel
you're
better.
happy.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. A little bit more about your role, Connie, because this
Sure.
again depends, when we're talking to reporters, or like I get a pitch, I think about I have to pitch the story to my editor. Now you're editor at large. So how does it work with stories for you?
So I am focused these days on AI, generative
Yes.
AI, and how it affects consumers, the way that we're going to live, the way that we're going to work, the way that we're going to engage. So I'm looking for stories about new things, obviously new tools, new ideas, about ways that you can use AI to hopefully enhance your life. I'm also looking at threats and concerns that people should be aware of when it comes to AI. And then I'm looking for interesting people who can talk about what's happening in the world. Sometimes they want to talk about a product that they're building and a company they're building, but there's so much happening in the world. And this is true for anybody who covers news, you should know.
Yes.
You're constantly writing stories if you're a beat reporter and you're reacting to what's happening in the news. And one of the things that a good reporter will do is try to find context from people who know what they're talking about. So if something happens in the news, okay, well, let's talk about AI since that's what I cover, right? China has released its version of an AI engine that is supposedly built and faster and better than ChatGPT at like a fraction of the cost.
So everyone's freaking out. Yep.
People are freaking out. It's a top downloaded app from the iPhone App Store. So people are interested and they're using it. Okay, so now you have user interest because it's the top downloaded app. You have competition between the US, which is spending billions upon billions of dollars in AI, and China, which is one of its fiercest allies in rivals in a lot of these technology marketplaces. So should we be worried? Who can answer that question? It depends on who you ask. So if you have an expert who has the answer to that question, not, well, we have a tool that can rival theirs. Okay, that's fine. But should we be worried? Like, answer the question that people are asking. Like, what does it mean? How does it change the kinds of tools I'll be able to see? This is happening at a time when we're all talking about TikTok, or a lot of people in tech are talking about TikTok. Do I trust a Chinese company? Because when I enter stuff into an AI, right, I'm putting in my IP when I ask prompts. Should I trust it? A lot of the stories that are out there from just a news perspective, which are totally valid, are what is this Chinese AI engine? When was it released? What does it does? And now it's caused all of these stocks to tank. But the average person, and maybe people, well, unless they're investing and
they're investing in their Wall Street, of course.
Yeah,
but to
the
your
Wall
point,
Street people care. But you know
I'm
what?
like,
Those
is my app working?
those Wall Street people are reading then financial analyst reports, and they're getting a lot of debriefing at a much deeper level than you're going to get from a news story. So then the average person. So what does the average person want to know? Should I download it? Should I have been one of those people that download it? Maybe not. Maybe you're concerned about privacy and security, and you don't want your prompts going to the Chinese government, assuming that's where they're going. These are questions that reporters are trying to answer. And if somebody in your roster of clients is an expert in the field,
then good.
Then that's a topical way to get in the news for this week.
Yes. is a lot of it, and let's back up a bit more before I go down the other thing. So Connie, for you though, is your staff coming to you, reporters, journalists, saying like, hey Connie, I want to write these 3 stories this week. What do we think? Like,
Yeah.
is that happen? Yeah. How
when
is
it
that
comes
happening?
to when it comes to things on AI, now I'm the expert. Look, I've been a tech reporter in Silicon Valley for a long time. So people ask me all the time about their advice, but typically in a news organization, they will go to the editor to get their idea vetted.
Yes.
Right? Everybody knows how that works.
Yes.
Somebody like me who has a lot of expertise across tech, to my staff, I'm a resource. What do you think about this? Or do you know somebody I can call? Or do you know someone I should ask? So I maintain a very healthy Rolodex, although I know that's not a phrase people use anymore.
But we all know what it is. Yeah.
Of contacts that I can say, you should try this person or that person. Because talking to people and getting them on the phone or on Zoom or whatever your mode of communication is as quickly as possible on breaking news is key. So I refer, yes, people ask me about AI stories and what do I think of them, because I've been writing this for 2 years and there's not that many of us who really know the topic area in journalism right now. That's changing. There will be many more journalists, but it's still a growing thing. So I say, yeah, that's not a great story, or these are the issues you want to look at. And I do that pretty much across tech. So somebody like me who's an editor at large, the reason I'm an editor at large is because I have all of this experience and I want some freedom and flexibility to write what I want, which is why I write columns and stories that I come up with as opposed to being assigned. But then I serve as a reference and resource to the beat reporters.
Okay.
So yes, you want to be my friend if you're trying to get to other people at CNET, but don't do it with a generic pitch.
Yes, perfect. Good to know. Okay. Connie, is there a way for publicists to make better relationships with you? Do you want to go in person somewhere? Tell us.
Yeah. I mean, I am looking for access to interesting people, and the higher profile the person and the more difficult they are to get access to, the more I appreciate it. So there are tons of CEOs out there at startup companies who are lovely to talk to and super eager to talk. And that's fine if they have an interesting background. But if you're the one who started a company and then now is on your 4th company and you're good friends with all of these other connected people, like I'm looking to build a network of connections. So you want to get in my good graces. There are 3 ways. Number 1, introduce me to interesting people that are hard to get. Number 2, give me an exclusive that no one else has so that everyone has to come to my story or our site to read it. So exclusive. And number 3 is really know what's happening in the news and then what stories I'm working on or my colleagues are working on that you can provide that immediate help. It doesn't help to say, hey, yeah, this is happening. Okay, let's say I'm not the TikTok reporter, but Abrar Al-Hidi at CNET has been doing a lot of media on TikTok. You can say, well, I know somebody who knows a lot about TikTok and can talk to that. And then you say, great, when can they talk? And then they say, well, let me get back to you. Okay, now you've wasted time.
No.
Right? Come with the item on the menu. Like
here, do you want it? Do you want it right now? Yes.
I can offer this person at 11 o'clock. Are you interested in talking to them then? Or at 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever it is. So it's satisfying that immediate need. So people, exclusives, and instant gratification.
Excellent. Oh, love that. I love that. Yeah. Great rundown, Miss Connie. Appreciate it. Okay. You talked about the relationships. Do you ever want to be in person with folks?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on, I'm based in Silicon Valley. So people come through Silicon Valley a lot. It's fairly easy for me to meet up with people here. But again, it's if I'm meeting them for the first time or I'm building a relationship, that I'm going to talk to them over time. Look, some of the biggest stories and the most important stories that I've written over my career, Bloomberg, Forbes, CNET, MacWeek, name it, have come from conversations that I've had with people over time. Like the first time I might talk to someone, and it's just like a get to know you conversation. Then another time it might be about a pitch, and then a third time it could be just a topic. Sometimes those conversations are just on background. People just want to gauge where they feel comfortable talking, and they want to know that they can trust me as a reporter. So I am looking to build relationships, not just the one-off hit, if that makes sense. So to have that in-person meeting, okay, what's the purpose of the meeting? Is it to have like a deep dive conversation?
You're not starting off with that.
Yeah. And if it's a product demos are totally valid, but now we can do those over Meet or Zoom or whatever, pick your poison. So there's only so many hours in the day for all of us.
I know.
And so it's trying to be efficient about that.
Let me ask, is it, I would imagine, immensely valuable being right in the center of it in Silicon Valley? Yeah.
Well, for technology, it is. Although tech is a worldwide phenomenon. There are people all over the world.
That's true.
Look, I don't need to meet someone in person. There are people in the old days, before we had video conferencing, that I only ever talked to over the phone for like years. And then when I met them in person, it was shocking because I had never met them in person. I'd only talked to them over the phone. I don't know if anybody can relate to that besides me, but there were the times when you only talk to people.
Yeah, and then you see them physically. You're like, oh, wow. That was the conversion, at least for me, when you saw people in the flesh after only on Zoom in the COVID times, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
You're like,
it was the
oh
same.
my God, you're tall. Yeah.
So I don't need to meet people in person
Yeah.
to build a relationship with them. What I need to know is that they have an area or topic of expertise or coverage, and they're willing to talk to you. And some of the best conversations are just on background, like, hey, these are the questions, people aren't asking that you should be asking. And that's super helpful to reporters because we all want to know, okay, there's the who, what, where, when, why, how, but the way that you get more compelling stories is to ask the questions that people don't think to know to ask, right? And so if someone can provide that insight, that is another point in their favor. Just like I have conversations with executives all the time about their companies and what I think of their business models. And I'm like, I'm not your investor. I'm not your
I don't care about that
business manager, but I can tell you how it'll be received. If you put out that story, okay, you're one of 10 people doing that product. So what's the competitive advantage, right? And then this is what you guys do as publicists. You're always trying to figure out what is unique, what is different.
Yeah.
And so, and then for some reason, as a favor, I will do that. And then I will just tell them, no, it's not unique or different. And then the PR person on the other end of the line afterwards will always say, thank you so much for telling them. I have said that 50 times, but they need to hear it from someone else. So
that is so helpful when the journalist just declares it such. And you're like, yep, been saying that for 10 weeks, but now you heard it live, Ooh, that is helpful. That is helpful. Ooh.
If you can get the journalist to do it. So I will do that as a favor sometimes for people who've been very helpful for me, but it's not because I take pleasure in making, somebody feel better bursting their balloon. It's just being pragmatic. There's only so many stories you can write, so many hours. And look, here's my PR 101.
Oh, tell us.
Because I had a short stint as the head of corporate communications for Hewlett Packard. Anybody who looks at my bio will know that. And it was interesting being on the inside versus the outside. But
that was a small stint. Yes,
it was for 7 months, and it was on purpose. And that's a different story for a different day. And it gave me a lot of interesting perspective on how executives view reporters and PR. But PR 101. Every reporter, when they pitch a story internally to their editors, hey, I want to write a story about this. Other than massively breaking news, the government has denied TikTok. You have to write the headline on that story because you've done some reporting. A headline is 65 to 70 characters. That's it.
Characters.
That includes spaces. After that, it goes to ... in Google, right? It doesn't. The headline runs out.
You can't see it.
Now, that's not to say you can't have a longer headline. You can. But generally speaking, go just do a survey, Google News or wherever you get your news, and check out I dump them in a document and see how long they are on average. And that means that every single character matters. So words like new, revolutionary, breakthrough, I don't know. They're just a waste of characters because, of course, you're going to think they're revolutionary or breakthrough. And if they're not new, why are they news? So write the headline on the story yourself before you pitch it. Because if you can't write it, then, and you're expecting the
Yeah.
reporter to write it, yes, the reporter might have additional
Mhm.
insight or might want to pull on an angle or a thread,
Mhm.
but that's your subject line
Mhm.
because, or it's the first sentence of your pitch, because that's what they have to do. And as a reporter and an editor, I used to have to do like 20 different versions of the headline before they would get approved. So I would say, well, how many versions of I guess you write press releases or your pitch,
Yeah.
right? But think in the way that a reporter thinks. What's the headline on this story? And give it to me in 65 to 75 characters.
Mhm.
And if it's not something that you would click on, don't pitch it because you are you are your own gatekeeper. Like, I think a lot of times people write for some other mythical well, I don't like this story. I think it's boring, but I'm writing it for somebody else.
You know what? If you're not proud to pitch it, it's a no. That's
Right.
all rule.
If it doesn't make sense, or I'm not the audience for this, well, then don't.
Yeah.
And get somebody who is, because then you
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about and you're squandering your characters. So write that story. And I would say when I was doing PR internally, I would tell executives who would say, hey, we have this news, we want you to pitch it. And I'd say, what is it? And then they would tell me, and I'm like, okay, give me the headline for that story. What is your ideal version of the headline on the story? And they would write, they would say, so-and-so announces revolutionary new, okay, well, revolutionary new, right? I don't know, payment service. Okay, well, there's already like 1,000 payment services. So revolutionary new are wasted words. So what is it? Is it free? Is it privacy protected? Is it a cash back one? Like, what's the competitive advantage that you're going to use instead of revolutionary new? And let me tell you, a lot of the executives, that's not their bailiwick. They don't know how to do that. But that's where you add the value add.
That's why you're here, publicist. Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
So if that's helpful,
Ooh, Connie,
your pitch.
so many gems in this. I appreciate this.
Of
We
course.
do have a quick rapid fire question list here. So let's get in
Shoot.
here and we can kind of wrap this up. Okay. Video or phone interview?
Video.
Bullet points or paragraphs in a pitch?
Bullet points.
Short or long pitches? I'm sure that's short.
Short.
Short. Images attached or a Dropbox zip file?
Nothing attached. It'll be pulled out by the spam filter. And then chances are you won't even get the email.
Okay.
The images and attachments come later after you've built a rapport.
And by the way, do those get then filtered through, the spam filter? Like once there's a back, okay, so no. So
I mean, I have to remember to go to my junk file and spam. And, I think the last time I checked, like 3 months had gone by. So, because like you said, you're getting pitches every day. So if you don't want to get caught in spam or any of those kind of filters, do not send an attachment until you're asked, because then I'm looking for it, right? Hey, I'll send you the press release,
like, okay,
or
cool,
I'll
let
send
me
you
check,
the link with all the media, or I'll send you the Dropbox link, and then I'm going, hey, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it went to spam.
Then you look. Okay. Yeah. That's good to know. Okay.
Yep.
Email or a DM of some sort for a pitch?
I mean, email is fine. DM is if it's like, hey, I don't know who's high profile.
Someone's super high profile. You're like,
and I can get them on the phone with you in 15 minutes. Do you want to talk? Then sure.
yeah,
DM
that's a hot list. Okay.
Or if you know me well, you'll know to text me because you'll have my text.
Okay. So. Okay. This is good. One follow-up or multiple?
One follow-up.
One and done. Yeah. I think we covered this. Direct or creative subject lines. 65 characters. I think we got that down.
I would say compelling.
Compelling subject lines.
And if they have the words scoop, exclusive, that's going to be a trigger. New, revolutionary, breakthrough are going to be junk mail.
Yep. I'm going to write that soft note. New, revolutionary, boom, junk. Okay.
If it's not new, why are you sending it? Nobody's going to say old software. So,
wait, you have an old pitch? Oh, okay. Yeah. Press release or media kit?
Neither one at the start. I just need I need just the pitch, and then
Yeah.
I will get more information.
Great.
I mean, you should have probably a backgrounder. I call them a a one-page backgrounder, maybe an FAQ if it's a complicated topic. But yeah, I don't know beyond that. I mean, those serve different purposes than reporters generally need, unless they're working on a long-term feature story and are collecting a ton of information.
We already kind of covered this. What time do you usually read pitches? You just got to get to 0 at the end of the day. So I assume it's all the time. You're
pretty much. I mean, I have meetings and I have things to do during the day, but first thing in the morning, I'm in California, so that specific time, I go and do a fast scan, clean out my inbox first thing, get down to whatever I need to do, and then I will periodically check in.
Okay. Connie, is there anything you want to promote, celebrate, tout, besides everyone get on CNET and read up?
Yeah, I would say, look, we live in a world where there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of misinformation, right? We all know this. And AI, I'm sure some of you are using AI tools to help generate your pitches and whatever. I'm not going to stop you from doing whatever you're doing. But because we live in a world where there's so much, people like me are looking for exclusive, impactful, interesting, compelling. And we want to be the first to break it. This is the exclusive part, but we're also looking for opportunities to get into the heads of people and behind the scenes. So think about long-term stories like the inside story of how a product came to market. Hey, and reporter, I will give you embedded access. You can come in and come to company meetings and sit in on things for the next 4 months, of course, under whatever your NDA process is, so that you can have the story when it comes, the inside story, the behind the scenes story of how this came to be. Those things take time and they take an investment on the part of the reporter and on the part of the company. So obviously, some stories are more complicated than others. I wrote the story of Dell taking themselves private when I was at Forbes. And that took me 8 months, but they invited me in. I got to go to employee gatherings and I talked to people. Like, I got a lot of inside info. So that when that story came out, and it was a cover story for Forbes, it had a lot of depth and a lot of color. So, but you only give that to one reporter. You give them a time frame, say, do you want the story? We're going to give you all this access, et cetera, et cetera. And if they say, maybe, that's not good, because then you can just move on to the next reporter, because people are looking for these kinds of stories. So set a deadline for the reporter as well, unless you really just want that one person to write it. And then you're going to have to, accept it or not accept it. Right? So that's it.
Connie, what a juicy, dazzling little array of nibbles we got on this call today, or video, or whatever we're doing here. This podcast we got on today. So good. So good. 65 characters. I'm going to definitely remember that. That's going to be
if you can do it in 65, you're doing really well.
Hey.
That's why I tell people 65 to 75, give yourself some grace. But really go to whatever, front page of anything right now, copy 10 headlines into a Google Doc or Word doc, whatever you're using, and then check the character count.
Boom. Done.
You'll be surprised.
She's editor-at-large at CNET, everybody. AI all the way, but consumer. Don't be pitching her anything enterprise about your funding announcement.
Yes, if you're pitching CNET in general, consumer.
Yes. With a C, just like CNET. Perfect. Connie, and like Connie. Perfect. Thank you so much, Connie. This was fun.
My pleasure. Thank you.